Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back one more time to the greatest podcast that you can find on Facebook/YouTube. We are joined once again by our most loyal triumvirate of heroes. We could be the Triforce of the State of the Nerd Union. The piece of wisdom, Trevor Law. The piece of power, Zach Nichols. And the piece that never does what he actually says he's going to do, and will finally post that review of Chappie next year, Kenny. By the way,
damn, you did that. I wasn't able to do that. I totally forgot.
Yeah.
Kudos to you.
Everyone hope for the Chappie sequel to come out. That way we can finally get a review of Chappie done.
No one's hoping for a Chappie 2 movie.
Well, you know what? They would have heard our opinions by now if you had typed out that review. But we're going to move on.
Oh.
Tonight, we are finishing up part 3 of our franchise with no name trilogy. We're talking about self-contained stories versus multi-part franchises and dual-part movies. And an all-encompassing battle royale of ideas.
And there's several different categories for sort of what we're doing here tonight. And this is the newest one, the big, massive universe-spanning thing, multi-movie, multi-character story arc that is going to be the next big thing. Star Wars is going to do it. DC's doing it. Harry Potter's going to try something similar to it.
They are having spin-off films from whatever new book she's writing. It takes place in the same universe, but it's different. Ghostbusters will now have a universe.
Wait, are they doing it? But they're doing just one movie, right?
No.
Really?
They're doing the female Ghostbusters with Kristen Wiig.
And other ladies, yeah.
And who cares? Kristen Wiig and friends.
Yeah.
And apparently there are now rumors, they haven't officially announced this, but they're setting it up of a Ghost Corps movie, a Ghostbusters like Marine Corps kind of movie, with Channing Tatum and Chris Pratt.
Really?
Yep.
This is what they're going for?
This is what they're going for. Honestly, I'm more excited about that one than the Kristen Wiig one, but...
I'm not excited about either one of these. It's Ghostbusters. How is this going to be a whatever? You know what?
But that's what we're talking about.
Beat that dead horse to death.
That's what we're talking about, though, is why is that franchise, which is only 2 films, and only one of them is really good, why is that one necessary that it has to be created into a universe? As everyone likes to throw that out there.
Money.
No film is necessary. As much as we love a film, it's never necessary to make a film. Now, if you want to talk about you can't tell the story you want to tell in one film, that is different. Or if you want to follow multiple characters in a universe, that is different. For instance, let's go with one of the best trilogies that has ever been made, which is Star Wars. Like, one of the best that's ever been made.
Y'all couldn't see it, but I had a nerdgasm here. I was just like, oh my god! Yeah, we all love Star Wars, except for Kenny. Kenny actually hates Star Wars, but me and Trevor, we love Star Wars.
I don't hate Star Wars. I just hate that other piece of crap, Star Wars. You know, those other free movies that you love to enjoy, but that I blissfully live in ignorance of? Yeah, those free. Continue.
Yeah, no, Kenny's right also on that.
Yeah, but all I ever hear Kenny talk about Return of the Jedi is how much he hates the Ewoks. He just loves to hate on Return of the Jedi.
No, I still like Return of the Jedi.
That's what I said. You don't love Star Wars. It's okay.
Okay.
Out of that
anyway, so with these movies, New Hope is really the only movie in that entire franchise. A New Hope and Phantom Menace actually are fairly self-contained movies. They don't really. They actually could be standalone, but Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, those are not movies that stand alone. Those are movies that have backstories, that have things that have occurred that radically change the universe. And God, I love them so much. The story arc of these characters, of watching Luke Skywalker go from, I am a naive kind of idiot who doesn't really know what he's doing, to I'm one of the greatest Jedi that has ever lived, and I've defeated pretty much everyone in front of me at this point, or gotten my hand chopped off. Then there's Empire Strikes Back, where you see Darth Vader transform from I'm a villain who, yeah, I'm scary and I'm sort of unstoppable, to I'm now a villain who's unstoppable with a mission to destroy everything you love. And nothing seems to be able to slow me down, really. Like, just every single character has an amazing story arc. Sorry, I could talk about Star Wars all day.
Let's talk about Star Wars. Look, I'm in Star Wars mode. I love Star Wars. Let's talk about Star Wars.
Go for it, Zach. Take it away.
Okay, so we were talking about. Oh God, you just started the tangent. All right, Episode 4 is absolutely phenomenal. I love Star Wars so much, by the way, that I was working at another fire station about 2 weeks ago, and one of my partners at the station had to write a paper for his mythology class. Why did I say mythological? Anyway, for his mythology class, he had to write a paper on Star Wars. I told him, let me write it. By the way, I have an English degree, and I used to write papers a lot. His paper was supposed to be 200 to 400 words.
Oh my gosh.
I wrote 1,500 without trying. My intro was 200 words. I love Star Wars that much. So, Episode 4, oh my God, it's the perfect hero's journey. Okay, from every aspect. Here, the hero himself, Luke Skywalker, is the everyman. Every single one of us is able to look at that character and say, we wish we were him. Because at one point, we believe we were him. As a teenager, we were all looking for something greater, something better, something more powerful, something more fun, something more adventurous, something greater and more important than what we were doing. Every single one of us is standing on that sand dune, looking into the double sunset with John Williams playing in the background, wondering what else is out there for us. Star Wars, seriously. And every single one of us wishes that we could reach that epiphany, that apocrypha, that apotheosis of understanding and coming in contact with that deity that is the Force in a way that people spend their entire lives in religion seeking. We just started off this tangent. I can't stop. This is the rabbit hole, dude. We were falling down.
You need to bring it in here, Zach.
All right. So my point is, Episode 4 does a great job introducing you to this everyman who is chasing after these great things. And along the way, you have Obi-Wan Kenobi introduced as the mentor, the traditional mentor, similar to Gandalf and Merlin, who introduces the young hero into this greater existence, this greater world, this greater universe, and introduces him to the Force. And through that, we learn the mythos of what Star Wars exists in that universe. We learn about the Empire, we learn about the Great Travesty, we learn about what is everything about that universe. Episode 5 is the continuation and the expansion of it. Empire Strikes Back is the great tragedy of them all. Every single character, it's a character piece more than anything. Each character is given room to grow and change. Han Solo, you see him go from dirtbag, scumbag to holy crap, that man has feelings by the end of the movie.
And note, every single character in that movie loses something. Every single one of them.
And sometimes that's the only way we find out who we are is when we lose something and we see what's left. But that's Star Wars. Return of the Jedi. Yes, we do get to see the continuation, the finalization of the journey of Luke Skywalker from everyman to Jedi, and seeing him finally come face to face with the inner darkness of himself. Do I give in to the dark side and use the anger to strike down Darth Vader, or do I fight off the evil and strike down the Emperor? But when we're talking about Episode 1, you already know all those mythos.
Yep.
And Episode 1 indoctrinates you in the boring politics that is Star Wars, the prequel trilogy. It's not the fun, hey, look, this is the great mysticism and all. No, this is the C-SPAN of Lucas. So I wouldn't exactly agree with you on the point of both of them are great intros.
I didn't say great intros.
Or,
I said self-contained.
I wouldn't say that they're as self-contained.
Don't ever assume. Don't ever mistake me for saying that I thought Phantom Menace is as good as A New Hope.
Okay.
You never put great and Phantom Menace in the same sentence.
Yeah, I'll never do that.
You know what's great about Phantom Menace? Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, John Williams makes
Okay.
everything
That's the
better.
soundtrack.
Boom! I just said it.
So
Okay.
good.
You know what's great about Star Wars? Yeah, it's Duel of the Fates. Anyway, in the pod racing.
Honestly, Revenge of the Sith has the best of all the Star Wars soundtracks, in my opinion.
It is amazing. I listen to those all the time.
He was in rare form of that movie.
Yeah.
John Williams in rare form? John Williams is always in rare form.
Okay. But,
Continue, Zachary.
So, episode 1 is not a self-contained story. I think that you're so indoctrinated in the mythos already that you know well enough about this universe that really you're just looking for the setup. So I don't agree that it's self-contained.
Okay. I'm not really that invested in Phantom Menace one way or another, so I'm not going to debate it.
And E.T. shows up in it, so it's definitely not self-contained.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It does, in fact, lock in the movie E.T. to the Star Wars universe. So,
Which is funny is that apparently E.T. and Star Wars exist inside the same universe. The film E.T., so therefore Star Wars exists in our universe, because if you watch E.T. from 1981, whenever the Halloween scene happens where E.T. is wearing the ghost outfit and they're going trick-or-treating, he sees a kid dressed up as Yoda, says home, and in the background, John Williams, again, for the E.T. soundtrack, actually puts in a little piece of the Yoda theme from Empire Strikes Back. As he sees him, he goes, home, and he chases off after Yoda. And then in Phantom Menace, you see inside the Senate chamber a group of 3 ETs.
Yeah. So next time, now don't think about that too hard because your brain will explode. Because apparently the movie Star Wars, in canon, exists in the Star Wars universe.
Holy shit! I didn't even think about that just yet.
Wait, what?
Star Wars is real. Star Wars happened, and we're just now seeing it thousands of years later. And because he had Boba Fett action figure, I didn't think about this, but he had a Boba Fett action figure early on in the movie. But then they implicate that Yoda exists inside our actual real world. So therefore, Star Wars existed. It's just like Galaxy Quest. Those are historical documents that have been sent through the galaxies apart. George Lucas is an alien. This is awesome. I love Star Wars even more now.
Video short and do it on that. Like, it serves its own little couple minutes.
Oh my god!
That just blew my mind.
Okay.
My brain hurts now.
Oh,
when George first said that sentence, I was like, "What?"
Oh god! Star Wars exists inside Star Wars. we are completely derailed, and I don't give a shit anymore.
I told them not to think about it, and they did, and now here we are.
I don't even care. This is fun. Oh my god. So, anyway, my point, I don't even know what my point was anymore. Phantom Menace is not self-contained. Episode 4 is, and Episode 4 is the most self-contained. And probably the best representation of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. Is similar to the old mythological tales of old, like Roman mythology, Greek mythology, King Arthur. Episode 4 is the best modern interpretation of that.
So shifting into a different gear, because we need to get off of Star Wars.
No, we never need to get off of Star Wars. The rest of the thing could be Star Wars, and I'd be okay with it. Actually, I have one more Star Wars thing about it. Because we're talking about the future of Star Wars. Episode 7, 8, and 9. There's the continuing journeys of Star Wars. There's going to be more of them. We know this.
Yeah.
I'm going to be standing outside the Anaheim Convention Center for 12 hours just to get in line so I can see the trailer for Star Wars.
Now, is this a teaser trailer or a real trailer?
As in, Luke Skywalker's in this trailer.
Very exciting stuff.
Yes.
All bearded out.
Yes.
Make you pee on yourself. That'd be embarrassing.
Dude, I'll be around a bunch of other Star Wars nerds. I'd probably fit in.
Yeah, and the interesting fact is that Zach will by far be in the best shape of them all.
That's true.
Good times. Nah, there'll probably be some like ripped out,
Yeah,
Wookiee. Some ripped out Wookiee.
Yeah.
So what the hell was I saying? Anyway, yes. So Star Wars is expanding into a universe. It's 7, 8, 9.
And they're doing 3 standalone spin-off movies as well.
We know they're doing 7, 8, and 9,
Yeah.
and they've just announced. Okay, 7 comes out this year, this December.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to take a break in 2016. In December, there is Rogue One. I think it's Rogue One.
Rogue Squadron.
No, I think it's Rogue. I don't think it's called Rogue Squadron. I think it's called Rogue One.
Okay, whatever.
But it's probably about the Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
So, which provides them with the most ample opportunity of getting away from the great mysticism of Star Wars, of getting away from the ideas of Jedi versus Sith, good versus bad, and can tell alternate tales about the average person inside the Star Wars universe.
Or how truly terrifying it would be to be an average person fighting a Sith.
That's also in there.
Like, even a really crappy Sith versus, I'm a guy with a blaster. I'm not liking this.
Yeah, but if we're going to look at any Lucasfilm like that, Indiana motherfucking Jones shows up with a pistol and shoots the guy with a sword. And that's what I want in my Star Wars sometimes.
Yeah, but they can deflect things like that.
It's Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford can do it. Anyway, so my point is, Rogue One can tell the story of somebody like Wedge Antilles.
Mm-hmm.
The average guy who just stands up, you know what? I can't use the Force. I don't have a lightsaber.
But I can make a difference, darn it.
I can make a difference, and I will stand up for what's right. And I like the idea that they're going to expand Star Wars into something more encompassing. Now we can get off Star Wars, unless anyone has other thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I could talk about Star Wars for the next 45 minutes.
Kenny?
Gosh, now we have to have a Star Wars podcast pretty soon.
Oh, God, yes.
I'm pretty sure there was actually a plan of the great battle of the quality of the prequel trilogy, which I literally read a book to defend. And
we can still do
the entire idea was that we were going to record this at Star Wars Celebration 7 in Anaheim that me and Kenny were going to go to. But I will venture forth in this one like Dash Rendar, alone. And Ken and the ship will be sitting at home. So.
Can't I just Skype into the call?
Nope.
Come on.
Like, you really think I'm ever going to actually be in the hotel room? But that's not the point. Let's move on. Star Wars or other franchises.
Let's go other franchises because, geez, we've been on Marvel.
There are like several franchises that are jumping to mind that have done the let's do several movies, but really we'll treat them as one. Back to the Future, Matrix.
We're talking about the two-parters.
Two-parters specifically?
Well, I mean, not just two-parters, but like you were talking about. Oh, yeah, well, not just two-parters, because there's The Hobbit. What Tarver's talking about is the other part of this idea is that telling one story over multiple films. In the Avengers, we're talking about it from 6 different perspectives, or 5 different before we get there.
Mm-hmm.
This would be the same perspective told over multiple films. Good point, Trevor. Continue, please, sir.
Okay.
Oh, I said continue, Trevor.
Oh,
I thought
I'm
you had
sorry.
another thought, or continuing thought.
No, it's cool. And so these films were all made, particularly the Lord of the Rings franchise and the Hobbit franchise, were all made at the same time. Like, they were made side by side. Back to the Future 2 and 3 were made together, and
4 years after the original. The original came out in 85, and I think it was like 88 and 89 that they released 2 and 3.
Yeah. And then the Hobbit and the Matrix. The first one came out, and then I think 4 years later they came out with the Matrix 2 and 3.
And they were 6 months apart.
Yeah, and they were released. And I think this gives us a really good spread of when it's done right and when it's done wrong.
And there's varying differences. Like, sometimes they come out with them, and one of them's really good and one of them's not, or they're both the same. And a lot of it sometimes depends on how far apart they are and how invested we are in it.
For instance, I would say first Matrix, really good action movie.
Matrix 1, fantastic.
Yeah, really good action movie. Matrix 2 and 3. I actually fell asleep during Matrix 3.
Yeah.
Matrix 2, I enjoy.
The highway scene, like, that's so cool to watch. Very entertaining.
I think Matrix 2, for the most part, I like that they delve a little bit more into the mythology of it, and they're expanding the world of it. And I like a lot of the fight scenes. However, that last 10 minutes, I think I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know.
Dang it, I don't want to make another Star Wars comparison, but I think it will fit right here, and it'll make a lot of sense.
We can always talk about Star Wars. It's never inappropriate to not talk about Star Wars.
Like Bill Murray said in Ghostbusters, who doesn't have room for Jello?
Yes.
Okay.
Star Wars is our Jello.
All right. So it's very clear to tell, even if George Lucas didn't know everything that he was going to plot out in New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, he still had a consistent idea for all of them. He kind of had an end in mind, even if he didn't know every single step to get him there. That would have really helped the Matrix movies, because yes, they started the Matrix, the first one, off as a standalone movie, but then when you get to 2 and 3, it's clear that they didn't have an end in mind. I never felt like they had a nice little set pieces in between it, and probably one of the most expensive and best CGI sequences at that time. It doesn't hold up now, if you go back and watch it. But I think there is something to be said about, even if there is a standalone movie, if you have these undercurrents of, I want to make this into something bigger later on, did you know how you were going to get, did you have an end in mind at least?
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can see that's very clear in, like, the Matrix.
You know you were going to have a bigger story, but was that bigger story worth telling?
Right.
Boom. Boom.
Continue, Kenny.
So
actually, before you move on to Pirates, I want to talk about Matrix.
Okay.
So Matrix 1, loved it. It's a great movie. I think it's a little overrated at times, but I think it's good. I think it's very good. I don't really enjoy Keanu Reeves so much, but you know what? I think he did well in that movie. Matrix 2, I believe the ending is what kind of ruins it for me when they get inundated with the diving too much into their own history of what's the creation of the Matrix, of the architect. Now, if you read a lot of mythology, the father figure is typically the symbol for the knowledge of good and evil, of which, whenever he teaches the son, he teaches him all about the great evils of the world. And that's where the son understands a lot of and propels from. They beat that to death at the end of The Matrix Reloaded. And I think they give you way too much information to the point that no one cares anymore. Matrix 3. I think that instead of actually finishing out the characters, they were more focused on elaborate set pieces and elaborate action pieces to make the film feel more epic. I think that's the word they were looking for. Is that this great battle between the Sentinels and mankind, and this great battle between
Neo and the Smiths.
Thank you. And honestly, especially that battle, they tried too hard for a religious iconography of Neo laying down his life for everyone. They tried a little too hard.
God, I just didn't care. I just didn't care.
And then all of a sudden they're like, well, are we going to see him someday? I think so. I think we'll see him again. How? He just blew up. Like, all the Smiths just blew up, and he was one of them. His soul was deleted. I don't know. Anyway, and they didn't really think about what they were doing. It was just action pieces, and then all of a sudden at the end, it's like, and we're done.
All right, Kenny, you were going to talk about Pirates?
Kind of the same situation going on.
Yeah.
You get awesome first movie.
Well, I think in both those cases, Pirates 1 and Matrix, they're like, we're going to do a movie. And they concentrated on that one movie, and they made one good movie. And then they made sequels. And in both cases, they decided we're going to do a two-parter. Now, Kenny, please continue.
And again, it goes back to the like you said, is there a story here worth telling? I don't think the idea of continuing out the Pirates movies was a bad idea in that sense, but they probably should have really stuck to self-contained stories.
Yeah.
Why did you need a trilogy for this kind of format?
Why the heck did it need to be so epic?
Yeah, I think it lends itself very well to just being a self-contained. Oh, hey, Jack Sparrow goes on another adventure, and once the credits roll, that's the end of that adventure. Yeah. Next movie, let's go.
And I think that's the biggest problem with 3 is that they were so convinced with trying to make it so big, so grandiose, so epic, that I literally remember watching Part 3 in the theaters, and I had lost track of who was on whose side because they had switched sides so many times that they were so convoluted. I had lost track of who was on whose sides, and I remember them all walking on the beach, 3 on one side, 3 on the other, and approaching each other, and then at that point, more people switched sides, and I literally remember thinking, I don't care anymore.
So, and there's the epic fight in the whirlpool. The epic fight in the whirlpool.
You mean where they shoot a monkey?
Massive fleets, and it comes down to 2 ships fighting in the whirlpool. Where's the massive ship battle? That's the biggest freaking tease I've ever seen. I get 2 massive fleets of pirates and faceless and metaphor for faceless corporate America, and I don't get to see them fight.
And it's just one ship versus one ship.
Yeah, and then but beforehand, she turns into a giant thing and turns into a bunch of crabs, and then she creates a whirlpool, and somehow that fixes things. I don't know what's going on in that movie.
I was literally going to say the 70-foot tall black lady who just shows up and then all of a sudden disappears, and you're like, wait, what? Where did?
Is that a metaphor?
I don't know.
What's going on with that?
I don't know. At first she's there, and then she's not, and then I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
She turns into a bunch of crabs. That's what shouldn't disappear. She turns gigantic, and she turns into a bunch of crabs. What does that mean? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't like Pirates 3. I thought it was stupid. God, Pirates 3. Back to the Future, though, unless anybody has more Pirates thoughts.
Yeah, and I think I like that. Let's stick on.
Wait. I think Kenny had a thought.
I can make another Star Wars reference.
Of course, do it. Star Wars.
All right. So you said the whirlpool battle. All right.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why movies give us this tease and then they don't actually deliver.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, go to Return to Jedi and we get an awesome fight between cruisers, fighters. Yeah. You got everything going on. Lightsaber battle, fight on the surface. Like that was massive.
They got 2 massive fleets right next to each other, and they started beating the hell out of each other.
An entire legion of our best men.
Yeah, and they were defeated by teddy bears. And even though it was silly, I still loved it. I love every minute of it.
Oh, I'm afraid the battle station will be quite operational when your friends arrive.
I mean, it's natural to
Luke,
the 2 main
it's
ships.
fully irrelevant for Luke to be on the Death Star. It absolutely makes no difference to the actual overall story. It's still awesome.
Yeah.
Kenny, what were you saying?
I was saying it's natural to concentrate on the 2 main ships. So even if that fleet had started fighting and they concentrated on that other ship, on those 2 ships, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
It would have been okay. But to not ever see it actually go head to head, it's just so. Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. All right, continue. What are we going to do after Pirates?
All right.
Back to the Future.
Well, and I really want to focus on 3 franchises because they do the same thing.
On Star Wars. Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's Pirates, The Matrix, and Back to the Future.
And Star Wars.
One great movie, and then they decide let's do 2 more movies back to back as sort of one big movie. And Back to the Future does it right. Matrix and Pirates does it wrong.
And
Why does Back to the Future do it right?
well, let's talk about Back to the Future 1. No one knew what that movie was going into it. No one had any idea. And it was a great film. And at the end of it, we talked about this earlier before we started recording, was that the end of it kind of has a cliffhanger or a cliff note, which I don't really think at the time they meant as a full movie. As a, hey, it's about your kids. I think it was just like a nice little, hey, look, the story continues. The story goes on as life does. The story always continues. Unless you die. But then everyone else's story continues. But that's not the point. We're not going to get in that piece, So,
yeah.
Back to the Future, the number 1, self-contained story, except for the little tag at the end, which I think was meant as a joke. And then once they saw the receipts for Back to the Future 1, they said, well, they're like, we think we can do this again. Let's do Back to the Future Part 2. Wait a second. Let's do the Part 3. Yeah. So, they made 2 movies. And here's what I can say about Back to the Future, and it's 2-parter. Even though it's 2 parts of one movie, because, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen a freaking movie from 1988, Back to the Future Part 2 already, really? I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, but Doc Brown gets sent into the Old West, and Marty McFly is stuck in 1985, and he seeks out the help of Doc Brown from 1985 to get back to the future. There's the title. And they play off at the very end of the movie, to be concluded, and there's a small trailer for Back to the Future Part 3. And I think this is the best thing that Back to the Future does with Part 2 and Part 3, is that 2 and 3 feel so incredibly different.
Yeah, because Back to the Future Part 2 takes place in the future and in an alternate timeline.
Well, that's the thing, is that like half of it takes place in those 2, and the other half is a retread of Part 1.
Yeah. And it's wacky and it's weird.
But then Part 3 is a Western.
Yeah.
There's a train. There's horses. There's Mad Dog Tannen. Mm-hmm. And Marty McFly's grandma, but it still plays the same jokes over and over again, and I love it. Mm-hmm. I want to go have a 6-hour marathon right now. I don't need to sleep before work.
Holy man.
So, Kenny, say words.
Yeah. Say words? Well, I can say plenty of words, but...
So, what's your thoughts?
Yes, it's one that was done very well. And even the jokes have aged very well.
Yeah.
Like, there's something novel about seeing the same characters played in the different roles. Like, whoever's playing Biff is doing it during the different times.
Yeah.
20th Century Fox?
Yeah. Wait, what?
That's an old joke of me, Kenny, and Trevor's, is that we would always reference 20th Century Fox as being... They used to say that 20th Century Fox was the emperor of all film franchises, because it would try to ruin everything we loved, like X-Men 3 when they hired Kyle Nelson. But more accurately, they are the Biff of all film franchises.
Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
They can't even get a catchphrase right. That's how incompetent they are. And they hired Kyle Nelson for X-Men 3.
That's funny you said they couldn't get a catchphrase right. Some of the taglines for their movie trailers are horrible.
Exactly. That's where this whole thing started, remember? But let's talk about, Back to the Future, point being. So the same guy plays Biff, Griff, and Mad Dog Tannen.
And alternate 1985 Biff.
Yes. And Marty McFly plays Marty McFly, Marty McFly Jr., Marty McFly Jr.'s sister, and Marty McFly's great-grandfather.
I thought that was weird. I didn't know if that was needed.
I didn't realize that until the last time I saw it. I was like, wait, hold up, what?
Wait, you didn't notice that?
I didn't notice that.
It's kind of like me in Tropic Thunder, and it took me a while to realize that was Tom Cruise playing, what's his name? Because I had
yeah. But I think that's the great thing about Back to the Future, is that those 2 parts, they feel so different, and they went so uniquely different with each of them. And 3 really felt like the end of the trilogy. Like, that's it. It's over, said and done. He's like, don't ever, destroy this infernal machine. Don't, it's caused more harm than it has good. I'm going to build another one.
Yeah.
But, I love Back to the Future. It's 2 and 3.
We don't get writing like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's just the reason that works, regardless of the other elements, is that it was solidly written. Yes, there were things rehashed in it, but they still found fresh and new ways to redo it. Whereas you get some of these other ones, and they even try to do original stuff inside. Well, borderline.
Like Austin Powers, when they do the same jokes over and over again, and it feels like the same joke over and over again.
Yeah, I if those movies all feel like the same movie. Like if you ever quote an Austin Powers movie, someone will ask, which Austin Powers movie was that from?
Doesn't matter.
Because they all the same.
Which is funny is that they're three different stories, and Back to the Future.
Three very different stories.
But Back to the Future is literally retelling some of the same story over and over again.
Yeah.
But it feels different.
Yeah, which is really sad.
Yeah.
But Back to the Future is awesome, and that's what we love it. All right, let's go on some other parts, because we're like the reason why we're talking about all of this is that Marvel has announced Avengers 3 and 4, if you want to call it that. It's Avengers Infinity War Part 1, Avengers Infinity War Part 2.
And just a ton of standalone movies.
Justice League will be a Part 1 and a Part 2. Now, the big part of the difference in all of this is that every time these movies have come out, it's been 6 months or a year apart. You know, all the Lord of the Rings, 1 year difference. Hobbit, 1 year difference. Back to the Future, 1 year difference. Matrix, 6 months. 20 months between Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. I don't know what the fudge they're thinking there, but we're years away from it.
Yeah, and there's a year away between Avengers Part 1 and 2.
And it's
Infinity
the
War.
same release weekend. It's the first weekend of May,
Yeah.
2018, 2019. And that makes perfect sense. I understand that. But
I mean, that's only 6 months longer.
yeah,
Or 6 months shorter.
yeah, but they're going to release less movies in between it. The difference is that between Avengers 3 and 4, or Part 1, Part 2, whatever you want to call it,
Doing Black Panther.
they're doing Black Panther, whereas between Justice League 1 and 2, they're doing Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, because they're writing themselves into where that's going to be 5 movies, really. Like, that's going to be one movie that's 5 movies in one.
And you know what? I mentioned 2 movies earlier that I want to talk about just real quick. Lord of the Rings is absolutely phenomenal.
Love it. Love it. Could
Lord
watch
of the
it.
Rings, absolutely amazing. And that's the one that you could watch all the way through and it feels like one movie. And I understand why they did that, because it's 3 books, that's one story.
Gosh, and it's so epic, it's so big, and it's so awesome.
But Trevor, what did you think about that other Lord of the Rings franchise?
God, I hate The Hobbit. I hate The Hobbit. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So the first Hobbit movie I actually enjoyed. I really did enjoy that movie. It wasn't as strong, but it was a very enjoyable movie. The Hobbit 2 feels ridiculous. It feels like somebody decided to make a Scooby-Doo movie and put a fantasy coat of paint over it. It's dumb. It's fun in all the worst ways. I can't take anything seriously. And at the same time, it's trying to convey a sense of incredible sadness. And then there's The Hobbit 3, which I almost walked out of. Which, if you don't know how cheap I am as a person, I will sit through any terrible movie if I paid for it. And I thought it was so bad, I wanted to walk out of it. Because if the movie couldn't decide if it was serious or fun. And maybe over a big stretch of time over the movie, if it transitioned, I could handle that. But it was literally one scene, very, very sad. The very next scene, very, very funny. Taking place over one 45-minute CGI of a mess battle.
Oh my gosh.
Terrible. It was terrible. There was almost no redeeming qualities of that movie.
I kept sitting in that movie really wanting to like it. But for the out of the 5 armies. I sat there and I'm watching scene after scene and I'm like, please get better. Please get better. Please get better. And it never did.
Nope.
I just came out feeling so depressed and sad. Like, I wasn't angry. Probably should have came out angry. That probably would have been a little bit better.
I was angry.
I just came out so sad out of that movie.
Yeah.
Not because of anything that happened, like story-wise, it would have made me sad. Reading the book would have made me sad out of pain for the characters.
Yeah.
That was just a pain because I lost $10 out on that movie.
I wanted it back, honestly. I wanted it back. And this is why those, like, comparing Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. First things first, the source material.
Lord of the Rings was 3 books. Hobbit was 1.
One tiny book. You can read The Hobbit in an afternoon.
I did.
Yeah. none of the Lord of the Rings books you're reading in an afternoon.
That's true.
And that is a meaty portion. And they don't even touch on everything in the Lord of the Rings movie. And the Hobbit movie, they're borrowing from a Silmarillion. And they're throwing in a bunch of added bull jargon. Yeah, almost want to use copious amounts of profanity. Ooh, okay, the scene where they're fighting Saruman. Although they're not calling him, he's the necromancer.
You got him started.
And Galadriel and Radagast and Elrond and somebody else who I can't think of shows up. It's like, you know what that felt like? Didn't feel like a cool epic Lord of the Rings movie. That felt like something an 18-year-old had banged out on his laptop as fan fiction, saying, man, this would be so cool if these characters showed up. And it was, oh my god, and then the necromancer does, and Elrond does this thing. He does, that's what that felt like. And I paid $10 for that.
Yeah.
So, if we have any Hobbit fans out there, Trevor is trying to say,
you have terrible taste, and you need to watch these movies.
I instinctively did not go see the Hobbit movies, because I've read the Hobbit book, and I didn't like the Hobbit book to begin with. I read it after I read The Lord of the Rings, so I felt the scope was smaller and insignificant, and I felt all the characters felt the same. And I didn't want to watch a 9-hour production of a 100-page book. So I didn't see them. Now I've accidentally seen the first one because I was at a slow fire station and I was like, we're gonna get a call here soon, so I'm just gonna put this on in the background, and we'll get a call eventually. And we didn't for 3 hours, and I just kept watching it, and it was mediocre at best. I have no idea what happened in Hobbit 2 or 3. I'm guessing it's the same thing, just mediocrity aplenty.
Just worse.
Just worse. Okay. Apparently.
I really liked Smog, but even that performance gets underwhelmed because of all the other crap that goes on.
It's Benedict Cumberbatch also, so you know.
Let's go on inside the freaking mine. It's like this is stupid.
Oh, Smog's chasing him around and he's lighting the furnaces.
I just realized that Smog chasing Bilbo Baggins is literally Sherlock Holmes chasing Watson.
Yeah. There's even that weird sexual tension too. Like the cap.
Suck it,
oh my
Hobbit.
god, meme! Tell me this is a meme. I'm gonna search it out.
All right, so we're
sure.
talking about like 2-part movies and everything, and I just don't understand why everything they just need it to be that big. Like Harry Potter 7, which I hated that book, by the way. That's the book that put Harry Potter under for me. I absolutely freaking hate that book. It had to be made into 2 movies. I didn't see it because of that. I'm not going to sit through 4 hours of a book I hated. Mockingjay. Is that the final Hunger Games?
Oof.
I don't care.
Whatever. I don't care either. I've never seen them. I saw the trailer and I got bored in the first 30 seconds.
Still decent. It's still good movies though. I would have a different argument.
Kenny, we've talked about this. No one respects your judgment. So.
Wow. Wow.
Hunger Games. Parts 3 and 4, whatever. I think it's Mockingjay. It's not.
Virgin.
Is the Virgin split too?
I don't care if it's split. Those are horrible books and they're horrible movies.
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. The first one was just blah.
Watch that.
It was the fire station again. Like I was hoping we were gonna get a call, and we didn't in 2 hours. I don't know why.
Sounds like your stories follow through. I watched Maleficent, and by watched I mean I literally devoured every second of that movie. But that's because I was on a plane from Seattle to Chicago.
Actually, I kind of want to see Maleficent. So
it's a very mediocre movie, and there's no point.
No, he's gonna be like, I watched After Earth. But hey, it's a fire station, so it's okay.
For the love of God, no! I will not watch another M. Night Shyamalan movie. I will not watch another 2 hours of M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. Which Will Smith has admitted that's the movie he regrets the most doing. Not Wild Wild West. After Earth.
Wow, that's the movie.
Well, you know what?
Because he got his kid involved.
Yeah,
because he ruined his kid's career.
Yep, he did. He really did.
At least he's able to realize he did something bad. Okay.
Well, I mean, he
All
should know that his kids
right.
are ruining his own career whenever they open their mouths and they talk about whatever crazy crap is in their brains. If you've heard any of their interviews, they have got more screws loose than Heath Ledger's Joker. Okay, like those kids are off their rocker. Anyway, my point was, I'm not even sure, but Mockingjay, it's split into 2 movies. Harry Potter 7, 2 movies. Twilight Part 4, 2 movies. Why are these movies needing 2 films, 4 hours of production?
Well, you know why. But...
I know, but I'm saying creatively, why? It's only for the monetary gain of charging for 2 films. They want one more film in there. They want to get one more film out of them.
And this is, I think this is also partially because we are biased towards those franchises, or sorry, against those franchises.
Harry Potter can suck it.
Yeah. I'm not a big Harry Potter fan. I neither like nor dislike the franchise as a whole.
I've read every book. I enjoy the beginning. I hate the ending. I enjoy the first 3 books or so. After Goblet of Fire, hate every page.
But I will defend Harry Potter being so many movies, and even splitting up the final one. I'll defend that. You may hate the original source material, but if there is so much material that it merits breaking it up, and people are wanting to watch it, and it's fairly well critically received, then guess what? Even if you hate it, it warrants it. Now, Twilight, I don't understand how they were able to pull together enough material out of all those books for one movie, honestly. I don't get that one.
Well, apparently it was 90 minutes of that girl making the same face.
Yeah,
No one can see it, Trevor, but we understand, because even if you're staring at the blank screen that will be on this screen, that's the equivalent of staring into Kristen Stewart's eyes. There's nothing going on there.
Ouch.
So, just saying. And that's from me only seeing trailers of it.
So, point is, if there's a lot of source material that's good, it merits making a lot of movies. If your overall story is good, it merits a lot of movies. If it's crappy and thrown together and clearly designed just to make more money, Matrix!
Well, especially when you're delving into this material, you're like, oh, we've got so much going on here. Okay, what are we doing here? Well, we got this battle. And you're just digging to find stuff to fill up those time. Like, yeah. I can understand maybe 3 2-hour Hobbit movies. Actually, I really can't. But 3 3-hour Hobbit movies?
2 movies, I think 2 movies would have been fine.
I would have been fine with an hour and a half production. Hey, look, gold, dragon, shoot the dragon, big action scene. There it is. That's the movie.
I mean, I know for a fact they could have cut out 45 minutes from each of the first 2 movies. That's a movie right there. Oh, God. Okay, can somebody... We need to change the subject and
I think... Okay, there's only one last one that I want to talk about. And that is Kill Bill.
Ooh, I love Kill Bill.
Kill Bill is amazing. And clearly, I think from every piece, way, shape, or form, I treat it as one film. I never watch it separately. If I watch it, I will watch all 4 hours and 20 minutes of Kill Bill. I will watch them back to back. It is absolutely a wonderful production, wonderful film. And even in the way, like if you watch Pop In Part 2, the chapter numbers are still higher than the first chapter numbers are in the first film. So it's, chapters 1, 2, or actually, sorry, chapters 2, 1, 3, 4, and then the second movie is 5, 6, 7.
And in Kill Bill's defense, had Kill Bill come out, assuming such a movie could have been made, in like the 50s, it would have been one movie.
Yeah, it probably would have been like the Hamlet 4-hour production.
Exactly.
Well, actually, Hamlet came out in the 80s, or no, early 90s, but that's not the point. Lawrence of Arabia. There you go.
And and the entire reason, and that's because movies, we expect them to be at most 3 hours now. We don't really expect a movie to be longer than that. If it is, we expect it to be broken up. And that's, I think, why Kill Bill is broken up. And I love that movie.
Look at Gods and Generals.
What movie?
Gods and Generals. It was a war movie, early 2000s. It was like 3.5 hours long plus. And no one went to see it, and I remember everyone talking about only the runtime. That's the only thing people talked about, was how long it was. And it was a detriment to the film's success in that nobody wanted to sit through it. Whereas I felt that with Kill Bill being split up into two films, even though it has two different tones, the first one being a much more of an action-centric film, and the second one being character, the second one, once it gets into it, it really delves into all the characters involved and really gets into the heart of the story.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Like, you do all this fun action along the way, and then all of a sudden we get serious. Once we've had spent some time with the characters, we learn more about them, and we understand the central piece of it. And Kill Bill is absolutely phenomenal. And I can understand Tarantino splitting that one up, because, let's be honest, if he's made 2 movies worth of film, I can understand him saying, I want to charge 2 movies worth of film. Yeah. Of saying, if instead of some people are paying $10 for a 2-hour movie, and we're going to give them a 4-hour movie, I can understand him saying, I've worked just as hard on this 4-hour movie as 2 of theirs, so we should charge $20 and split in 2. And I understand that one.
Yeah, and that's another one. But that really is a good example. It's an excellent example.
Kill Bill, I think, is the pinnacle of those.
Oh, and for the record, I looked up Rotten Tomatoes Gods in General score. 8%. Apparently the movie's a piece of crap.
8%?
8%.
Oh, never mind then. All I remember hearing about is the runtime. Yeah. And it was like 3.5 hours.
Oh.
How long was Gettysburg? Didn't it have like similar? Didn't it have some of the same actors in there playing?
I don't know. I'm looking it up.
And I just want to clarify about, we're talking about watching multiple movies. This is also the same guy right here speaking who has twice in his life sat through all 6 Star Wars movies in one day.
I think I was there with you for one of those.
You quite possibly. Oh, one of them was on a Thanksgiving. I know that. 2 of them were in Clarksville. Actually, I think they were both on Thanksgiving.
Gettysburg got an 80% with a runtime of, I don't know.
Long. It was like 3+.
Gotcha. That was the good one, I remember. Okay. And then Gods in General was, yeah.
Apparently Gods in General sucked. So, what?
Hey, real quick, refresh my memory. What happened on Superman?
Oh, the Superman films? They are, okay. So, Superman 1978 and Superman 2 actually kind of fall into this one in that they were filming most of the 2 at the same time they were filming 1. Actually, at one point, they filmed about 75% of 2, and they were running so far over budget and so far over schedule that Warner Brothers told them, finish 1, and we'll figure out 2 later. So they finished out 1, and they used the ending of 2, with him spinning the world backwards in time. And then they decided they were going to fire Richard Donner because of all the scheduling and budget snafus. And they hired Richard Lester to refilm 51% of Superman 2 so it could be his film.
Gotcha. Okay.
Gosh, that movie sounds like it was almost a disaster.
You mean Superman 2? The original cut?
Yeah.
You mean the one where he throws a cellophane S into the air and it just turns into a giant net and then disappears 30 seconds later?
I haven't seen Superman 2, so I don't know.
How about the same movie?
I think I've only seen...
sorry, Kenny, I lost you there for a second.
Yeah, I don't... Oh, crap.
Kenny, speak!
What?
I said speak.
I am speaking.
We can't hear you.
But that's still an example of where they've got 2 things going on and it still worked out. regardless of how much they felt like it was running over budget. They ended up giving the second one such a strong structure that people still liked going out and seeing the second Superman. And then we get a better representation when Richard Donner is finally able to, excuse me, finish it how he wanted, or sort of how he wanted.
30 years later, they let him. 30. Anyway,
Yeah, 30.
So Superman 1 and 2 do almost fall in this category. So those have been our thoughts tonight about split films, multi-piece franchises, when it's done well, when it's not done well, solitary, films. And I'm sure we'll have more thoughts whenever Avengers comes out. Stay tuned. I'm sure in about 2 weeks we'll have another podcast. And whenever that Chappie sequel comes out, Kenny will type out his Chappie original review. Until then, keep it locked here on the State of the Nerd Union. I'm Zach, joined by Trevor and Kenny. Peace out, everybody. And if you haven't figured it out, we love us some Star Wars. Good night.
Too much.